Well, hi everybody. Yep, Amaya is out, and she shed just recently, and I said I would get her out and do a video with her after she shed, because as I did say, with each and every shed that Amaya will do, those colours are going to start to show, which of course in these lights they just faded out so much, but I can certainly notice them so much more after this shed than her previous shed. So that's just wonderful to see that happening. And of course Amaya is a tricolour albino Darwin Carpet Python, and she's been bred to have this colour about her. So to be fair, because basically my video about Jags, I didn't go into the genetics of those snakes because, let's face it guys, honestly, I don't know about you personally, but for me personally, I am so over it on videos that are just repetitively about what this one is with that one is, and this is what you get when you put that one with that one, and you have 50% chance, and this is a codominant, and this is a non-codominant, or recessive, or het 4, or oh my goodness. And unless you're an actual breeder, that sort of thing really isn't anything but a headache to people that aren't. And I think unless you are actually a breeder, that isn't exactly what interests you at all. And I could have gone into the genetics of the Jag, because in honesty, I didn't want to give you all a headache. So I wanted to give you the outcome of me asking that question, what do you think about actually breeding them? And there was an overwhelming support that said that we shouldn't. And for me, that says a lot, that a lot of people feel that way, and if anything, ethically feel that way about it. But we're not going to stop anybody from breeding them. But going back to the genetics, and I will be corrected if I get anything wrong here, you know, there is no pure Jags. They're not out there in the wild at all. They are a morph. That is what Jags are. Basically, from my knowledge, and for most people's knowledge, a couple of what was known to be coastal carpet pythons were bred together, and for several years, and then all of a sudden this amazing looking little hatchling appeared. And of course then you have to prove that out to be codominant, and it was a codominant gene, hence the Jaguar carpet pythons were born, named basically in the snake world. And when that happened, it really did impact carpet pythons that weren't a very well known, kept species, but Jags put them on the world map, and in some ways was good for the carpet python itself, but maybe not in that genetic form. So basically, there are no pure Jags, but considered to be breeding Jag with Jag because genetically that is what they are. But they have two alleles, and one is the Jag and one is the neuro, and that is what is unfortunate. And I will always dispute the fact that everybody can say not all of them are affected, and at birth, hatching, it is not always visible, and that snake can live for quite a few years and show no signs of it at all, but then can. So that is the truth, that is fact. And if anybody tells you that that just doesn't happen, that if it isn't showing any neuroscience when it's a baby, it's never going to have them, you've been given false information, and no breeder should tell you that otherwise, or tell you otherwise. So that was sort of more my point about the Jags. There are varying degrees on how they will be affected. Some are a lot worse than others. It ranges, from a slight tick to a little wobble, to major wobbles, to complete and utter balance issues where they can't even right themselves. So that's fact. That does happen. Percentage, I don't think there's been enough study done to put a number out there anyway. But basically, that is what it is. They have two alleles, the Jag and the neuro. The only ones that don't, and they're not Jags, from breeding a Jag, the coastal, then some of those sibs are called Jag sibs, and they don't carry that neuro. They don't have the patterns of a Jag either, and most unlikely that breeding them with another coastal, well, impossible to get the Jag. So they are very, very much one of our biggest morph species. I think there's over 30 morphs, not species, morphs. There are over 30 of them, and they're stunning. They're absolutely stunning what you can get from the Jag. But in reality, I could go on and on, because I don't think anybody could say pure coastal, pure jungle, pure anything anymore. They've all been crossbred in some way or another, unless you can go to a breeder. Oh, look at Missy, she just finds a nice little spot on my hand and chills. But most species, it's very rare to find a pure, and if you can find a reputable breeder that can prove that he's giving you a pure, I doubt it. Really, there isn't a lot out there, and if you do get one, you're lucky. You're very lucky these days. It is just the way it is. Everybody wants more beautiful, more prettier, and it's about here in Australia. We know there are normals, and a pure coastal is probably, that's the normal. Nobody wants them. They don't. I would, and I know others that would like a pure coastal. Would I be able to find one? I don't know. I haven't really gone hunting for a pure anything really. And I certainly don't go hunting for the most beautiful of any species. And most of us love our norms. But you can get, these days, what is a coastal that is called a mix. Because nobody knows really what it is mixed with for $50. Because they're normal. They're not something like this. Hey, Amaya. Amaya. And of course I have my Pani, who is a reduced pattern spotted. Though that is really about breeding spotteds that have less spots with another one that has less spots and going on down the line. I also have Maya, but there's blonde spotteds out in the wild. So, of course, there's none of these ones because they wouldn't survive out in the wild. We have created this morph, and there is no doubt that they are absolutely stunning and they are gorgeous, and I'm not against having them or people buying them at all. I was talking about the Jag neuro gene that exists. That was all. So like I said, I didn't want to give a headache, but overwhelmingly supported that they believe that they shouldn't be bred, because there is no denying that fact about them, no matter what anybody says. It's the way it is. So, no, I'm not a breeder, and I don't want to be a breeder. The reason why I don't want to be a breeder is because I would not be able to care for my snakes. Or a breeder as in running a business is what it is. I wouldn't be able to care for my snakes in the way that I do now if I was one. I've got nothing against them at all. And I don't think anybody does, really. Of course, I don't like the ones that call them their pets. And we really know that they're not their pets at all. Because to have pets and call them pets is being able to give them your time. And that a breeder doesn't have. So, you are hiding. She spent most of that time actually hiding on well, not having a head in view of the camera today. But I hope that clarified it for everybody. And I may have people jump on again with some comments that say some not so nice things, not necessarily related to the Jag, but me as the way I care for my snakes, and that's okay too. As I said to somebody, get in line, buddy, with the rest of them, to have you go. And yeah, so there you go. That was the outcome of my question, which was a question and really nothing more, and my own personal opinion on a subject that I was asked to bring up. And so I did, and I will, if somebody asks me to talk about it, and even to give my personal opinion on it, I'm going to do that. So guys, from this little girl that we didn't really see a whole lot of today at all, but I'll put her a bit closer. As you can see, she is starting to get those bandings going, and of course they're going to pop even more as I said, with every shed she has. And her head is, if I can get her head is just beautiful too. But guys, I'm going to finish up here. Tell you to take care of yourself, take care of the family, and take care of these little fellows and gals. Ciao everybody.